my first question to you is, you know, why are you here, right? Like, what is it that you're wanting to see shift when it comes to attracting clients or the quality of clients that you're attracting? Feel free to share.
I was just saying to Houdini how I love being here because we get to like tap into your energy.
Yeah.
And how that, you know, raises our own vibes, and that allows us to attract the people whose energy we then influence, right? So that's, I don't know, I think that's really powerful. So it's, for me, it's not so much about like the how or the why. It's just like being in this atmosphere really, and to just to get an upgrade from that. That's why I'm here, and to be committed to that, to keep on doing that. I've been watching the Money Magnetism Mastermind that you shared, and
awesome.
You know, like that's so big. Yeah, it's really big. So it's like, you know, it's the energy, and it's a real commitment because it's about shifting back. How does it feel to make this amount? It's like, it's the constant work, as like you always say. It's like being in that vibe, and I'm like, I've decided to really do this right now, so here I am again.
That's the important factor. It's the decision that you're going to do it no matter what, right? And so what's it like when you work with people who are not the right fit? Have you guys had that experience before?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to share?
Yeah. It's yeah, and it's actually right connected with what you just asked us, which is, so why are we here? I know for me, you posed a question in the masterclass that I was in before with you, that for me to sort of just feel into, which you said, you know, I didn't have to answer, but it was like, what would stop me from them charging, you know, more, and charging like the amounts that I feel is in alignment with my value, which is 10k euro. And so there was something about that I feel like I'm here because I'm interested in connecting more with that feeling, and I'm interested in realizing that experience, which is, you know, attracting clients that are ready, willing, and able to pay that. And so that feeling when you're with a client that doesn't feel like a fit, it's just like a real down, negative, energy draining and wasting experience. It's like, exhausting and tiring, and you're almost going like, oh, I wish I didn't have that experience. That's what it's like for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can, let me tell you, I've had those experiences myself. So what have you guys tried to resolve this issue? Like, what have you done? Like, first of all, have you gotten yourself to the place in your business where you're primarily working with clients who are at the right level? And I ask that question because so many coaches at various stages of business, I've seen the same challenge when people are at $500,000 or even $1 million in business, that they're still not attracting the people who are actually at the right level. So it's not that they don't attract any of them, but there are fewer of them than the vast majority of the people that they attract. So what, can you guys give me a sense of where you're at with this? Like, are you generally attracting a lot of people who are, you know, the kinds of clients you want to work with? Or is it more of, I need to figure out how to shift this, and what have you done to try to shift it up until this point?
So go ahead. You want to go first?
For me, like, yeah, okay. Shall I go?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go.
Thank you. Yeah, for me, it's as you just said, Houdini, like, it's like as if I didn't really want to have the experience. What I noticed was that it was not worth the money. So I decided for myself, I am not going to say yes to someone who I feel isn't in alignment. And also because that's what I'm, you know, that's what I teach my women. So it's like, I can't do it. So the first time I actually said no to someone that was like, okay, am I going to do this? Because of course, you know, I needed the money. But it's like, I trust the universe. I'm saying no, I only want aligned people. And that's also what then got me other leads and other clients and everything. And so that was really powerful to step in that, because it's like I can deliver when I'm not feeling that fit. So it's like that's become like a complete no for me. Absolutely.
Perfect. What about you, Houdini?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that just I'm just feeling the appreciation of that, the power to say no. Because that's exactly what I was marinating on earlier today before our call, was like how there were people that at first I was sort of saying yes just because it wasn't even about recognizing my value. This was what feels like ages ago. It might have been just months ago. So I feel like what's happened now is where I'm at this point, Desiree, where like there's someone that I attracted that back into services that, you know, she's like, was that first person that I shared with you that paid me $1,200. And then there's this person that is interested in my services to help them to help them find a match. And I'm really looking at making sure that I, again, owning my value when I have that initial consultation with them, so that just like I did with this recent client, that then, you know, I'm bringing that kind of energy and able to sort of watch that unfold to either, you know, them paying me premium prices or attracting other people that will pay me premium prices, you know, and like Sophie just said, be able to say no, because that has felt good to watch that a few months ago when there were people that weren't even a match. And then I tried to make it work with them and they weren't wanting to pay me anyway, much money. And then I was glad that it didn't work out. And I was like, yeah, okay, I need to trust more that, okay, maybe I don't see on the horizon who's coming, but people will come. And so now recently having this experience showed me that that's true. And like you keep sharing, that we're actually in control of that, whether we realize it or not. So yeah, so it's new now. This is a new sort of frontier for me to like have that trust and confidence. And, you know, I just did it with one client and here's another client interested in my services. And I want to keep experiencing more of that now. I think that's where I'm at. That level is being shown now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually really glad. Thanks for sharing, you guys. I'm really glad that this is an intimate group because we're going to get to go deep. There are a couple of things that you guys mentioned already about, like, for example, Sophie, when you talked about the fact that it wasn't worth the money, right? It really isn't. It's not worth it for you. It's not the best experience for the client, right? So what I mean by this is, in my personal experience, and many of my clients have had the same experience or similar experience, when you sign clients who are not at the right level, and when I say the right level, I'm talking about clients who are not either or, mentally, spiritually, emotionally ready. I'm not even worried about the finances, because the finances, they can figure that shit out, right? If they really want it. But I need to work with a client who is ready to take responsibility for their results. And what I see happening in the marketplace a lot is when the coach themselves doesn't clearly understand the line between what their responsibility is and what the client's responsibility is. When those lines are blurred and the coach feels overly responsible for the clients, then the clients are not going to get the best experience, neither is the coach, right? So it's important that you're signing people who can pick up what you're putting down. It's not just a cute little phrase that I say. You've got to be working with people who get it, right? Like people who understand the way that you explain things, they can implement, they can get results. It's not to say that there aren't going to be some clients who are your clients who don't get everything you say immediately, right? There are going to be some people who are your perfect people. They might not get it immediately, but they're going to get it, right? And you trust that they're going to get it, right? And we keep treating people like adults rather than like victims. We allow people to do their own work, and we continue to do our own work, right? This is what I mean when I say stepping into leadership. And Houdini, you mentioned, hearing the fact that I mentioned things like you're in control and, being able to say no and having the trust and having the confidence. What you need to have trust and confidence in is yourself always, right? Like if you show up fully empowered, then you will magnetize clients who are empowered, because like attracts like, right? When you're in your power, you attract people who are in their power. When you're in your leadership, you attract people in your leadership. So what this game is really about, and I felt really called to talk about this today, because I see this so often in the marketplace where, people are like, I've invested in a gazillion programs and I'm not getting the results that I want. I've changed my message 100 times. I've changed my strategy 100 times, and I'm still not attracting clients who are at the right level. And when that's happening, it is an indication that something within you needs to shift. I believe that every desire that we have is a desire it comes from our soul. It is, our desires are leading us to our evolution. It's leading us to where it's time for us to expand. So if you have the desire to work with a particular type of client or a particular client, right, there's a reason for that desire. There's an expansion that's about to happen, that's about to unfold when you give yourself permission to say yes to go for that client. Whether that client be at a certain level in their business or in their relationships or whatever, whether that client be at a certain level of emotional maturity to be able to step into a higher ticket program, doesn't really matter. You have to decide that criteria for yourself. But the point is, you've got to be willing to follow the desire, because when you follow the desire, even if you're afraid, you've got to lead yourself through the fear. And as you do that, you take back your power, right? You open up your energy. And that's when you become magnetic to those clients that you want to call in. So going back to what I said before about so many coaches, and I've done this myself, many of my clients have done this before they came to work with me. They try all of the things, all of the external things that don't actually yield the results, right? And again, I've seen people with a $500,000 business, with $1 million business, experiencing the same frustration. And for me personally, it's not just about how much money we make, but it's about how we make our money. It's about me being able to enjoy my business. It's about me being able to enjoy the clients that I work with, right? It's about me saying no to a client if they're not the right fit and not feeling guilty about it, right? It's about me calling my own shots. It's about me running my business like it's my fucking business rather than, I'm playing by somebody else's rules. And so this to me is what leadership is really about. And when you can be in your own leadership, when you can lead yourself, then you will attract people who also lead themselves. You will attract clients who take responsibility for their half of the relationship. You will attract clients who their yes means yes and their no means no. What I mean by that is when they say yes, they do not disappear when it's time to pay the deposit and sign the contract. Right? And it's not to say that that's never going to happen, but you're going to see a shift. You're going to see an increase in the people who say yes and they step into the program, and a decrease in the ones who are on the borderline. They're not sure of themselves. So going back to the leadership piece as well. One of the things I found to be profoundly powerful is when you can hold your power. What I mean by this is when you're detached from what anyone else does or says. What I mean by that is if a client reaches out and again, they say that they're going to do it and they don't do it, that you're not attached to that. You don't make it mean anything about you. That if you raise your fees or you shift your message or any of that kind of stuff, you go out into the marketplace and you don't see the level of engagement increase. In fact, you might even see it decrease at first, that you don't make it mean anything about you. You don't make it mean that you're not ready. You don't make it mean that you're not good enough to sign this particular type of client, right? You decide for yourself, and this is what leadership is to me. It's making the decision of what it is that I want and backing that decision 110%. So even when the smaller part of ourselves is in fear, the smaller part of ourselves is giving us all of these reasons, all of this evidence of why it's not going to work out, we challenge that voice, right? We do our work to come back to the truth that if I have the desire, then there must be a match for it. Because if I have the desire, it is leading me towards my expansion. And we're all meant to grow and expand. We're all meant to grow and evolve, I mean to say, right? So then this must be my truth. And if this is my truth, then I've got to be willing to see it through. I've got to be willing to see myself to the finish line. I've got to be willing to back myself. If I don't back myself, nobody else will. And so what I see a lot of times in the marketplace is someone will raise their fees, and then, you know, they want to work with a particular type of client, and that client isn't responding to their marketing at first. And so they start having a conversation with themselves about, oh, maybe I'm not ready yet. Maybe I don't have enough testimonials yet. Maybe I'm a fraud, or people are going to find out I'm a fraud if I take on more clients. It's like all of these stories that keep you playing small, and you've got to be willing to challenge that voice. That to me is what leadership is. Leadership is leading yourself through the fear, through the doubt, through the worry, until you get to the finish line, until your vision becomes your reality. When you do that, guess what happens? Again, you magnetize the people that you're meant to work with, because what does everyone want? Everyone is hiring a coach or mentor because what they're really seeking is permission, right? They're struggling to give themselves permission to have what it is that they say that they want. Google and YouTube can provide the answer to any fucking thing. But the reason people need other people, the reason people need coaches, the reason they need mentors in their lives is because they need someone to help them see what they cannot see. They need someone to help them shift their perspective so that they can give themselves permission to go for what it is that they say that they want, right? And if you're not willing to do that for yourself, your energy is not going to magnetize those people, right? So you've got to be willing to take the lead, if you will. You've got to be willing to commit to changing your own reality before you are going to be able to easily influence the right clients to follow you, if you will. Like, I work with leaders. I don't work with followers, but at the same time, a leader is both a leader and they follow, right? But they will only follow someone that they trust to lead them. They will only follow someone that they believe can help them experience the breakthrough that they're after, right? So you've got to be leading in that sense. And again, you're not doing this, and I don't know if I said this before, so I'll say it now. It's not really about them. So you attracting the right clients is a byproduct of you leading yourself. You lead yourself for you. You lead yourself because you care enough about yourself and your vision, your desires, to lead yourself there, right? And as a byproduct of that, the people that you're meant to serve, not the ones that you settle for who have the credit card to pay you, but the people that you're meant to serve, the people who are ready to rise, those people will be magnetized to you. So when I think of everything that I do, when I think of my marketing, when I think everything that I do, the programs that I create those programs because that's what I'm called to create. I want to make sure I say this clearly, because there's a lot of emphasis in the marketing, or in the marketplace, about, you know, saying things the way that people need you to say it and doing the thing that people need you to do. I don't want to get in my head about that stuff, right? Because then I lose me, and people don't want me to be someone else. They want me to be me. So that means I need to focus on me. I need to trust what's coming through me and know that it's for me and it's also for my people. So when I let the marketing speak to me, I let the program ideas speak to me, and then I figure out, how do I package this shit, right? Like, how do I make it so that people get it? But I'm not doing it. How do I want to say this? I'm not doing it because I want people to take a particular action. Maybe that's the better way to say this. I'm doing it because I know this is right for me to do. And I trust that the people who are meant to receive it, to receive the message, who are meant to step into the program, will do so. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not doing it for people. I'm doing it for me. And when I do it for me, it takes the pressure off of me trying to figure out what's that going to look like for someone else. When I say I package it so that they get it, I package it in a way that they understand the value of it. Does that make sense? But not because I need them to buy it. Like, if you need someone to buy something from you, you show up in the marketplace feeling needy. You show up in the marketplace trying to give to get, rather than showing up in the marketplace and giving from a space of overflow, giving from this place of, look, I have amassed all of this wisdom from all of my life experience, and I want to share this with anybody who wants it, right? And allowing those clients to be influenced by your message. rather than you trying to convince people to buy from you through the message. It's a different intention. One is desire-based, one is fear-based. One is I've got to manipulate you, I've got to, talk you into something, and that doesn't feel good to you, right? So why do that? Why not just show up and speak your truth and trust that the people who are meant to receive it will, right? Why not create the program that you are uniquely gifted, skilled, and talented to deliver, and trust that the right people are going to step into that program? A lot of this has to do with your trusting yourself, trusting that what you're creating is enough, trusting that what you're saying is enough, and trusting yourself enough to speak your truth unapologetically, rather than feeling like you've got to fit into some mold that the gurus are telling you to fit into, right? Rather than, like, I was talking to someone the other day, and she was asking me about how I do my videos, and it wasn't a debate, it was really just a discussion, and she does a lot of live. I tend to pre-record. I'm shifting it now, but in the past I would tend to pre-record my videos and then drop them, on social media. And she was like, well, how many views do you get? I was like, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't even check. Like, I have not a clue, right? Because I'm not doing it for that. I'm not doing it for the engagement. I'm doing it because that's the message that came through me to share with people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't focus on those other things. And I find that a lot of people who focus on those other things stay stuck because they end up giving their power away to what the algorithm is doing, whether or not people are engaging or not. Those kind of things that don't actually matter. If everything is energy and we're attracting clients through who we're being, then what does it matter how many people watch the video? How do I know that there weren't my perfect clients who watched the video who didn't engage with it? I don't fucking know. So why not just focus on my connection to my truth, right? Listening to my soul, and then showing up in that energy and knowing that the right clients will come, right? So when my clients get this honestly is what's really responsible for their explosive success. So most of the time with my clients, I never tell a client what strategy they should implement. What I do is help people get clear on the strategy that they feel most aligned with. And what that typically then means is that they stop doing all the other shit that they didn't want to do, right? Like, some clients will stop doing the outreach, and some clients will stop doing the follow-up, and like the stuff that they don't want to do, but they were told they have to do to get results. When they start just leading themselves and they start trusting themselves and they trust that they're enough and what they have to say is enough and that the program is enough, when it comes back to themselves, right? Like feeding themselves. When they start doing that, I mean, their businesses go crazy. I've had clients go from, barely making $5,000 a month to closing 30K full pay sales on repeat. I've had clients 10x their income in a month. I've had clients who weren't even making six figures, attracting seven-figure clients, right? This is what happens when you start to lead, when you start to take ownership of the program that you are called to deliver, when you start to take ownership of the message that you're here to share with people, when you start to take ownership of the mission that you're on, without regard to how other people are going to respond to it. Because when you do that, you have that je ne sais quoi, I think is how you say it. You have that I don't know what kind of vibe that people just respond to. You are magnetic. Why? Because you're not in fear. One of my former mentors, she said something to me that has stayed with me for years. And she said to me that real freedom is no longer being afraid, right? And that's what everybody wants. Everyone thinks that they want the money, and while the money is nice, it can buy you some nice toys, right? What we really want is freedom. What we really want is to free ourselves from the limitations that we place on ourselves, from following everybody else's rules, from bending over backwards to please everyone else but ourselves, right? We want to free ourselves from those kind of things. When you free yourself, you are magnetic, because that's what your people want. Your people want to free themselves. When I say they want permission, that's what they want. They want permission to free themselves to be who they're meant to be. Preconditioning, right? Before they were taught, to be seen and not heard, that they were too much, that they couldn't shine their light because they were going to outshine their siblings or any of those kind of things, right? People want permission to be who they really are. And the more you give yourself permission to be who you are, the more you're going to attract people who resonate with that energy. The more you're going to attract people who know, like, and trust you right away, right? They don't need a ton of nurturing campaigns and all that other kind of stuff. And this is not to say that you don't take any physical action. This is not to say that you don't tweak the message. What will actually happen, though, is as you start taking more ownership of who you really are, your message would automatically shift, right? Like you'll just start speaking your truth more unapologetically, right? So the message may change, but it will be a more organic shift rather than a tactical shift, if you will, right? And one of the reasons I'm doing this masterclass is because I see it so often in the marketplace. I see so many marketers who will preach, and this probably works for the masses. Actually, I know it works for the masses. They preach, shift the message. They preach, shift the strategy. And then people, again, keep hopping from all these programs and they're like, well, how come nothing changed, right? And so what I'm sharing with you is the most direct route. What I'm sharing with you is the thing that's going to make the biggest difference. This is what's actually going to move the needle for you, right? And again, this is not going to speak to the masses, but it will speak to the people that you're meant to serve. I believe that each one of you is a leader, right? I believe that you're meant to work with particular clients. And I believe that the more you allow yourself to be yourself, the faster and easier you're going to call in those clients that you're meant to serve, right? And this doesn't mean that you cannot have a sizable business, but it does mean that you're the type of person who knows who your person is, right? You're not here to just work with anybody. You're here to work with your people, right? And that's what I really want to encourage you to do. And the way that you do that is by leading yourself. So was that helpful?
Super helpful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Standing ovation.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So what stood out to you the most?
Well, the self-leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, as and then as a byproduct, then watching our energy attract then our type of people to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People who are focused on themselves, and I don't mean this in a selfish way, but I mean in a way where they care about how they feel. They own their own opinion of themselves. They own their sense of worth, are magnetic, right? It's not that you don't ever get triggered. It's not that you don't have any emotion, but you are in your power. You hold your power, meaning that you manage your thoughts and your feelings about yourself. You do not give that away to anybody else. That's holding your power. And that is so like, oh my God, attractive, right? Because that's what everybody wants. It's that self-reliance. It's that autonomy. It's that I'm good. Do you know what I mean? Like, no matter what, I'm good. It's that. And if you can do that, then, I mean, you will be so successful in business because you will not only attract better clients, but you'll be able to serve more powerfully. You know, the work that I do, I am intentionally not cheap, right? Because I don't want to be cheap. I want to attract clients who are ready to go deep. I want to attract clients who are willing to do the work on themselves, right? That to me is the most fun. I don't care about tactics and strategies. Any fifth grader could teach you tactics and strategies. Give me a break here. Do you know what I'm saying? What I care about is really helping someone come back to the truth of who they are. I care about helping people expand. I care about helping people step more and more into their leadership. Because when you do that, like, you can serve so much more powerfully, right? Like, you can go there with your client. So many people, and I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but even when it comes to not just the marketing, like, you know, muting your voice in marketing, if you're not really being yourself, but also in a sales conversation. Some people will hold back in the sales conversation because they're afraid of losing the sale. Some people will hold back with their clients because they're afraid that the client will quit. But that's not in service to people, right? What's in service to people is being able to have those challenging conversations or those uncomfortable conversations, if you will. You cannot do that if you're not leading yourself, right? Like, you have to be able to stand in the pain with people in order for people to actually have real breakthroughs. You can't do that if you're not handling your own thoughts, your own emotions. If you don't know how to stop making what other people think or do or say or feel mean about you, right? It's the same thing when it comes to clients' results. So I think in the post I wrote today, I talked about the fact that, you know, when you're in your badass energy, or when you're being the badass version of yourself, you know that you are responsible to your clients, not for them. And I share that because so many of my clients, especially when it comes to raising their fees, one of the biggest fears is if I charge more, then what if I can't deliver, right? So, which is interesting because you don't worry about delivering at the current rates. Like, you know what I mean? It's only if you charge more, then you'll be concerned. Give me a break. You want to be concerned about your delivery, not concerned, but you want to know that you can deliver regardless of what you're charging, right? But the way to feel confident in your ability to deliver is to know where that line is, right? To know what your bid is and to know what the client's bid is, and know that you're not responsible for how anyone else chooses to feel, right? I've had plenty of clients who were not happy with me in the coaching relationship, but then they came back to work with me after, right? Because they had the time and space to really process and be like, oh, right? But I also had to be in my power to not let how they felt mean something about me. If you can do that, you can coach people like, oh my God, the results that people are going to get from working with you, the way their lives are going to transform because they work with you. It'll blow your mind, right? So you being able to lead yourself serves you on all levels. It serves you in terms of serving your clients. It serves you in terms of attracting the right clients. It serves you in terms of making your own money. So Sophie, you mentioned there's a training in the membership site on money magnetism. That's all about personal leadership. Right? Like there's a theme to everything that I teach, and it's always about you owning your power and your worth. And that to me is what leadership is, right? It's about you choosing. It's about you deciding for yourself. You are the boss of you. You are the leader, right? And so everyone else, when you get that, everyone else will adjust. Going back to what you mentioned before about trust and confidence, Houdini, right? Like you've got to trust that who you are and what you do and who you be is enough, right? And that everybody else will adjust. Your people will rise to the top, everyone else will go away, and life is going to be good for everybody involved, right? So I know it was another tangent, but I think it was helpful. So
yes, again, very helpful.
Yeah, okay, cool. So okay, let's do some work now. Who's ready to activate their leadership? I think it's gonna be fun. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to write down what you want. And it could be anything. It could be a certain amount of money. It could be a certain amount of clients. It could be to launch a new program. It could be anything you want. So just write that down for yourselves. What do you want? Leadership starts with a vision. You got to know what you want. Are we good? Okay. So why do you want it? Write that down. You good? Okay.
Wow.
So much fun for me. So much fun. I love it. Okay. Okay. I'm going to give a few more seconds. Good? Okay. So why does what you wrote down matter to you? So let's say, for example, you want to do 100K in the next 90 days. Cool. Why? Well, I'd like to be able to buy what I want when I want. Cool. Why? Why does that matter? Okay. So whatever you wrote down, why does that matter? Why is that important to you? So going back to my example, the goal is 100K in 90 days. Why? Because you want to buy whatever you want. Why does that matter? Well, you don't ever want to have to worry about money. You don't ever want to have to be limited to, to price, right? You maybe want to buy the best of the best. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the same question. Why does that matter? Good. Okay. So I wonder if you guys can guess the next question. Why does that matter? I'm taking you through an exercise. I think it's called 7 Levels Deep. I got it from Dean DeGraza years ago, and it's so powerful because what we're doing is we're just peeling back layers of the onion. We're trying to get to your real why. We're trying to get to the thing that's really driving you. You guys good? Yeah? Okay. We're going to stop there. Who wants to share?
Go. This blew my mind because, I kept saying, how deep is she going to go? Like, oh my gosh, how deep could it go? And it's so funny. What the second to last one was the one where I thought you were going to say that's it. But then when you said it again, that's why I started laughing so hard. I'm like, oh shit, there it is. All right. So I wrote 10K euro, 10 clients, averaging 1 new client per month.
Okay.
At that level. And then for some reason, it felt like then the year after that I would feel to do is raise my prices again. And then what I wrote was 50K euro. And again, 10 clients, averaging 1 new client a month. Yeah. For some reason I wrote that. But anyway.
Is it 50K a year? Is that what you're saying?
Sorry, I say euro. I'm saying euro.
Okay, so 50, is that a month?
No, a month. Yeah. So
okay,
it's like,
gotcha.
sorry, I see what you're saying. Yeah, sorry, I didn't. So it is a 50K package.
Okay.
Right. That's yearly. You're right. But then
Understood.
Yeah. Thank you so much for asking for that clarity. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. I didn't write that down there. And then it was okay. So you started to say why.
And you
So
don't have to
first
share
why
every
was,
single why. What I'm looking for,
okay.
I'm looking for the why that moves you the most. I'm looking for the why
Brilliant.
that perhaps you weren't even aware was a why.
Exactly. Yeah. So the deepest whys were about purpose, and that without like, and purpose feeling like what actually drives me to do what I do and what I want to continue to do, and that there's no like what's that phrase, like there's no other option, because the only option outside of that, outside of living my purpose, would be living a life that would feel bitter, sad, depressed, and resentful. Like that would just be the saddest thing to me, to not be living purpose. Yeah.
That's a powerful share.
Yeah. Yeah, that really, I could feel the power of that as I was writing. I was just like, oh my God, this is like you said, peeling back the onions, like you're really peeling the layers here. And it's so funny. I love this because someone was asking me recently, they were saying like, oh, it's so important to do your why. You got to do your why. I'm hearing you, but I'm not hearing your why. And this was like months ago. And I was like, I said, I don't know why, but I'm lit up about this. And I would love to explore that. But I almost feel like, yeah, I'm just not aware yet of this why you're talking about. And so I've been on this sort of journey since then of like, what is this why? What is this why? I've been watching videos about the why and contemplating the why. And just this exercise helped me actually, get to that. That's powerful.
Awesome. I am excited for you. Yeah, you're welcome. What about you, Sophie?
It was big because I had 3 things I wanted. And that's why it took longer, but I was like, okay, I'm doing this. And then at some point at the 3rd why, I got to, for each and everything, so I can be who I am, love. And then going deeper, so I matter. And that was really deep because it touched me on how, I used to have, and we still have this wound around, I want to feel special or important, or I want people to see me. And so it's actually because I need to own this or be aware of that I want to matter, and I can and I do through my purpose. So it's really beautiful because then I take that back to myself and I don't look for, Daddy, do you think I'm special? Or Mummy, can you see how good I'm at dancing? No, I fully fulfill my purpose, not even thinking about the money. So I matter and I give myself that. It really struck a chord. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm so glad for you guys, because that's, leading yourself is kind of like self-parenting yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like, giving yourself what you always wanted from other people, and when you give yourself that, you fill your own cup up. There is no void. There's no feeling of an emptiness any longer, so that everything that you get is joy, right? For me, when I didn't understand this, I thought if I go out and I achieve, this is something that a lot of high achievers experience, if I go out and I achieve, then I'm going to be worthy. Well, I kept achieving and I didn't ever feel worthy. I kept feeling like something was missing. I kept feeling like I wasn't enough, until I learned, oh, wait, I got to fill my own cup. Wait a minute, I got to give this to me first. And when I give to me first, then I don't feel needy at all. Everything I give to other people is coming from overflow.
Yeah.
So I love what you guys shared. It's so powerful. So what I want you guys to write down now is, why don't you have that yet? why don't you feel the level of purpose that you want to feel? Why don't you feel like you're being yourself, that you're really being loved? Why don't you feel that yet? Good? Yeah? Okay. Who wants to share?
I want to share because it is really big. Because what I wrote down, because I'm not taking, or because I'm not making the impact I desire, that's why I feel I don't matter yet. And also because I'm not seen enough, I don't have enough clients. And so I feel I don't matter enough. And that's just repeating that same childhood thing of like, I feel invisible. And so I'm giving the responsibility to me feeling that I matter to my clients. Ding, 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 ding.
Yep. So what's a decision that you're going to make about that?
That I'm going to see myself. And it's funny because I always had this feeling that the rockstar coach was always more about me than about anyone else. That it's really about me seeing myself fully, completely, no matter what other people think, and really, really, really being, really confirming that I matter for myself.
Yep.
It's all about me. Like I lead for me. So
Yes.
that's really big. Yeah.
Yes.
And it doesn't depend on clients or the bigness of my group or the mailing list or whatever. It's like, or the money, because that's also a big thing that we attach the money to, because I'm making this amount, I'm successful, worthy, and so I matter. No, I matter.
Period.
I matter, period. Exactly.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. What about you, Houdini? That was big.
Yeah, that was huge, Sophie. Thank you. Whew. Powerful. I put because of people pleasing.
Okay.
And heavily avoiding confrontation. heavily. And there's also this bit about like trying to tailor my offerings based on clients' needs versus on what my desires are. Like that huge share that you felt like, oh, this feels like sorry for that tangent. And I was like, no, that was, wow, that is huge. Like, yeah, just that felt so powerful. Like, because that's what I've been feeling about and wondering, is that true? And I can't say that there's, I think you're only like one of two coaches that has ever said that I've heard say that. And that's like very recently that, it's about what you want, you desire, what's channeling through you. And then you share that and you don't worry about, who's gonna like you said, which makes sense now. Like you said, it's not a cute saying when you say that, like people that are able to pick up what you're putting down, mm-hmm. because it's like, it feels like what you're talking about is the authentic putting down, yo, this is me, boom. And then it's like, okay, you're going to attract those that are meant to be your clients or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So so you mentioned two things. You mentioned people pleasing and fear of confrontation. So what decision are you going to make? Because right now, let's put things into perspective here.
Sure.
The people pleasing and the fear of confrontation
Yeah.
is costing you really stepping fully into your purpose.
Yes.
So what are you
And
gonna do?
I can use a direct example, like this young lady client that, you know, put down $1,200 on the spot like that. I realized that there's something in our sessions coming up that I'm gonna have to confront, be like, direct with her to assist her in her transformation. But it starts with me being direct about, like you said, within myself. So as far as how the sessions are going to go, there's what she thinks how it should go, but then there's my desire of how it should go, and then I need to be direct about that.
Yeah.
And be real with her on that. And I first had to realize that with myself, and once I did, I realized, like, oh my gosh, even with her, although she already paid, I have to do that. And that's going to even allow or not for me to help her in the ways that I said I could, and that she also felt like I can, which is why she paid me in the first place. So that's the decision I made, that I am going to be on our first session, just like really face the one or two things that I hadn't before when I had past sessions with her, and do that. And and then even like this guy that's asking me about potential services. That's the other thing too, of like being able to share with him, detached from whether he picks it up or not. Just be like, okay, this is how much it would cost. This is what I can offer you. And, are you in or not? It's great, and if not, it's cool, and that's it, Yeah.
Because, so I'm glad that you made that decision.
Sure.
Because it's going to allow both of you to grow. It's going to allow you to grow as a coach. It's going to allow the client to grow and decide whether or not she's ready for that. Right. Which is her choice. Like, no, it's not about anybody being right or wrong, but it's about what's in service. That's how I look at things.
Okay.
Confrontation is not a bad thing, guys. I was trying to look up the definition of it. And it has a negative connotation, but the actual word, I think the Latin word of it means to be with or something like that. What were you going to say, Sophie?
Yeah, in Italian, if you translate, it's confrontare, which means like to compare.
Okay. Yep. But I share that because a lot of people are afraid of confrontation, because typically we're afraid of what that person's going to think or feel, and how we're going to interpret that, what we're going to make it mean about ourselves. But if we go back to the self-leadership, where I'm filling my own cup, I'm deciding that I'm awesome, independent of what anyone else thinks or does, then I'm not swayed. Doesn't mean that I'm never affected, but I'm not swayed. I'm always going to come back to the truth and be like, all right, but I know what my intention was. I know that I said this with care, meaning my intention was to help this person. And they're free to choose to receive it how they want to receive it. But what we have to remember is that we can never play small enough to make everyone else comfortable, right? Like, we are not responsible for people's happiness. We're not responsible for how people receive us. We're responsible for ourselves. We're responsible for communicating powerfully, but we are not responsible for how other people receive us. And if we come back to that truth, and I took when I was in college, my degree was communication science. So I have a love for being able to communicate with people in a way that allows them to not feel wrong, right? And I want to be careful about how I say that, because I can't know what someone else is thinking or feeling. I can only know my intention, right? So I do my best. I always know that I'm going to come back and I'm going to do my best. But I also know that if someone feels offended by anything that I say, that offense is within them, right? And with knowing that, then I give myself permission to say what needs to be said, right? and let people be responsible for how they choose to experience it. That's our work. And that's how we are able to not only be effective in our coaching relationship, because that's what coaching is with a client, it's a relationship, but it allows us to be effective in all relationships, right? And when we are, when I say that we want to please ourselves, I do mean that, but I don't want it to come across, well, let me see. My opinion is that the more we can please ourselves, the more we're actually in service to everyone. Like you mentioned, Houdini, about the bitterness, right? You mentioned about bitterness and sadness and feeling resentful. And I think we've all experienced that to some degree. And when we're not pleasing ourselves, I think that's what we experience a lot. And who wants to be in a relationship with a coach or a partner that feels bitter and resentful, right? Nobody wants to be in that kind of relationship, in that kind of dynamic. So it's actually in service that we do what we need to do for ourselves so that we don't feel that way. Do you get it? Right? So that we don't feel that way with our clients, so that we don't feel that way with our prospects, so that we don't feel that way in our romantic relationships. Yeah. So it's actually in service to give a fuck about how you feel.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And to speak your truth, to be yourself. It's actually in service to everybody around you. Get it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And the thing is that you can hear that from other people that maybe don't have that level of, their energy is clean and clear, but because we experience yours in that way, then it's very powerful to hear you say that. So thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So you guys have activated your leadership. You figured out what you want. You have the vision. You made a decision that's going to move you closer to that vision. So leadership is deciding what you want. It's getting clear about what you want, having the vision, and then deciding that you're going to do it. There's two different things. Lots of people have a vision, but they made no commitment to taking any step towards it, right? So you guys are ahead of the game. What needs to then happen is you've got to keep deciding over and over and over again until you realize the reality that you want to realize, right? And for that, you need tools, you need techniques, you need support generally, right? Oh, let me rephrase. I don't want to say you need, but it's helpful. Let's put it that way. It's very, very, very helpful to have tools and to have support. So if you guys would like tools and support, you know that I have a intensive available. And so the intensive is a 12-week program. It is designed to help you with all this stuff. It really, the focus, I teach how to create the offer. I teach how to come up with a compelling message. I teach you sales strategy. But if you were to really look at the program, the foundation, if you will, is all about self-leadership. It's all about empowering yourself. It's all about you holding your own power, right? And so if you want support with that, you know how to find me. You can send me a private message on LinkedIn or Facebook to ask me more questions about it or to jump right in. And that's for you if you desire to add $100,000 to your business in 12 weeks or less. I also have a mastermind that I'm going to share for you. Now, there are going to be some people who watch the replay. So if the mastermind doesn't apply to you, it's fine. But there might be people watching the replay that it does apply to. And the mastermind is a 12-month program. And this is an opportunity to be in community. Both programs allow you to be in community with really high-powered individuals who will inspire you to play 10 times bigger, if not more, than what you're playing right now. And so the mastermind is really designed for you if you want to hit consistent 30K, 50K, or 100K plus months. And that's a year-long container where we work on this transformation on a much deeper level. So those are the two options available. Now what I'd like to do is open up for questions. Do you guys have any questions or final thoughts or feedback on what we've talked about here today?
First, I guess I just want to say that it just feels like such a powerful, masterclass, and I feel like you said that there was this experience of shifting and stepping up into our leadership. There was definitely shifting that happened. Like, feels very big, and yeah, I feel very reflective on it all, and I'm excited that you have these offerings. And I'm so glad that I joined tonight. Yeah. like it definitely gave me beyond what I would imagine that it would. And I definitely was expecting great things, but this went above and beyond that as well. Yeah.
I'm happy. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This was really awesome. I feel it would Houdini and I were in like a private coaching session with you, so it's like abundance. Thank you. I'm super grateful. And really hitting that I matter is like I was already like drifting off, imagining all the things where this plays out, right? As in relationship, as with clients, as with my pets, dogs and horses, and so it's core. And when we hit the core, that's where shifts take place. So it feels really deep. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. It has been my pleasure to be here with you guys today. I had so much fun. I love this stuff. So feel free to share in the group your biggest takeaways or ahas, or whatever you want to do. If you know people who could benefit from this masterclass, feel free to direct them to the group. And that's pretty much it. We're going to wrap here. And this replay will probably be up for the next 24 to 48 hours.
Okay. Cool. Wonderful.
All right, guys. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Desiree.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Talk soon.